All right, welcome back, everyone, to another exciting and dark and mysterious episode of the Av Files. I'm your
Uh-huh.
host, Av, and I'm joined by the one and only Daniel of Arius and the Nation.
Cheers. Hello, hello. Good to be here. Good to brush off the dust of the wherever we've been.
Well, I haven't been on here. And cheers to everybody joining us, and
Oh,
cheers to
yes.
Daniel.
Cheers, cheers, cheers. Not sponsored yet.
Right? This is just
Not
a
sponsored. That's
just a
a
drink that
generic drink.
it's something in a can that tastes delicious, and will probably end up killing me later.
Yes.
Hopefully, while I'm doing the
Everything.
podcast. So then,
Speaking of killing, what are we talking about today?
right. Speaking of death, today's episode, we will take a quick look into the very mysterious world of the vampire.
Oh, no way. Vampires? Are we talking about them? Yes.
Vampirism.
Vampires.
Is it vampire, or is that how Americans say it? Is it vampire or is it vampire?
I don't know. Vampire. I don't know. I, I've heard it. I've heard it multiple ways in the circles that I run with.
Stop running in circles.
Yeah, I know, right?
But I'm sorry.
Oh,
Very,
God.
this is something else that you'll get while you're if watching this show. Stupid jokes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That we have that in abundance. We have
Yeah.
a plethora of dad jokes. That's why this
Uh,
episode's gonna suck.
Ah!
Ah!
Speaking of sucking so bad, besides our careers that haven't taken off yet,
Yes, exactly.
are talking about the vampire. So,
What is it? What is it?
Daniel, you know what? I'm so glad you asked. What is a
Segue.
vampire? So, there are almost so as many different characteristics of vampires as there are vampire legends, but the main characteristic of the vampires, or as us in this little tight knit circle like to say, vampires, is that they drink human blood. If you didn't know that already,
Yeah. If you've been living under a rock.
right? I think that's like the first thing that people
Yeah.
associate vampires with is drinking blood.
Yeah.
They typically drain a victim's blood using their sharp fangs, killing them and turning them into vampire as well.
I've always thought they like there's two types of bite. There's one to kill you and one to turn you. I didn't think they
Yeah.
could kill you and then you turn into one.
Well, okay. So I'm not a vampire. I don't know any personally, which
Oh.
I need to like start. I need to find one so I could talk to them and have a get some
One to
insight.
one, heart to heart.
Yeah, a heart to heart. So, but from the movies that I've seen, seems like some of them, some vampires kidnap or hold humans and use them as food.
Oh,
Like
you're
they'll keep them
talking about
alive.
like Blade,
Right,
right?
like in Blade. Yeah, right. They would have them, and I guess
Like
keep
farm
them
them
alive. Yeah,
like cattle. Got it. Okay.
right. I guess that's a way for them to have
Hmm.
their
Hmm.
substance.
Sustenance. Okay.
Right,
Okay. Cool. I
and
can.
of course,
I just. Yeah. All right.
it's
Okay.
some that I guess they would kill them, and others they would bite them and not kill them, but uh, turn them into another vampire.
Yeah, but I feel like there would be an abundance of vampires if you know, like that's the thing that like that's where this thing doesn't make any sense. It's like you kill them and then they turn into vampires. Like, well, then you have this revenge-driven vampire.
But then you don't know how many vampire there are because they hide out. They hide during the daytime,
This is very true. This is very true.
so you'll never see them.
No. Mm-mm.
So, and so in general, vampires hunt at night, obviously, because they can't be out during the daytime because it weakens their powers. and some have the ability to morph into a bat or a wolf, which I think in doing so, that's where some people see the correlation between vampire and werewolf.
Interesting. So you could have a vampire werewolf? That makes no sense.
No,
Like,
no, 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 no. People like so the vampire turns into a werewolf, and or Jesus Christ, I'm getting
that's what I'm
so
saying.
excited.
That's what
No,
I'm
no, no,
saying.
no, no. I
That's,
got it.
it
I got
makes
it.
no
I got you.
sense. There's so
No,
many
wait.
holes.
So no, no, no. So I think what it is some people will see the vampire turn into a wolf. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. I got a little distracted for a second. Let me get it together. So sometimes the vampire will turn into a wolf, and I guess somebody will see that and they'll think it's a werewolf, but it's not. It's still a vampire.
Got it. Got it. It's just a
Right?
more easy to kill wolf
I
than a
guess it's another
werewolf.
form of travel, scare people. I mean, I don't again, I don't have I haven't called any vampires up to ask them this question. I'm just
We had to check the rule book. We had to
right,
check the vampires updated TOS.
right. We
You
got to
know,
see what
the
their rules are.
terms, the rules are what they can and cannot do as defined in the vampire lore law.
I feel like every creature should have their own. Like the NFL has a rule book.
Yeah, yeah,
Every creature should have its own rule book. Like, oh
they need
no,
to.
you can't go around like you can't go around like I don't know doing crazy stuff or whatever.
Like from like yeah, exactly from like 3 p.m. to like 7 p.m. No killing.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
And hey, if you're a vampire, stick to bat because that's the most easily like understandable transformation. Don't be
Hmm.
morphing into no wolf. I mean, why stop at wolf? You know, you'd have Jim the vampire turning into a fucking unicorn. You know what I mean? Like, don't be turned into shit that doesn't correlate with what you are. You
Right,
know,
right, right.
vampires stay in the bat lane because there is such a thing as a vampire bat. Yes.
All right. So now that we got that out of the way,
Yeah.
so vampires have super strength and have hypnotic or sensual effect on their victim. They can't see their image in the mirror or cast shadows.
I mean, that's a small price to pay for living forever, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm fine with that. It
Well,
makes
the
sense. I mean, out of everything, there's vampires, right? Werewolves get effed with when they change. Their whole body breaks apart and turns into a werewolf. Vampires are like more fabulous. Like they're just
they all of a sudden become rich.
yeah, they become rich. Well, they've
Like I want to be a vampire.
no. I feel like all vampires start off as broke, right? And then they just live forever. Therefore, if you live forever and still broke, you're pointless. Get
You
out.
should just die.
Yeah,
So
you
no,
should
well,
just walk into the
vampires
sun.
when they die, they're I guess more or less the inside. I feel like it's their soul that actually dies because they're dead. They're living. They're dead.
Corpses.
Right.
They have no
Almost.
soul.
Right. So they're not corpses like a zombie that's going to decay over time, but they have to drink the blood to stay young
Alive. Yeah.
or stay alive. Right. Yeah. And depending on, I guess, how that goes.
Well, it depends on what version of vampire you're talking about. Because right off the bat, right out of the gate, let me just put my foot down and draw the line in the sand. All of our listeners, you cannot include Twilight vampire. That is not a vampire. We're not talking about those vampires. We're talking about real freaking vampires. Real
Right.
fake
So
ones. Not the Twilight rules vampires. Not the
no.
Twilight rules vampires. The real fucking vampires.
Right. So yeah, yeah. When I think of vampires, I'm thinking Bram Stoker's Dracula. I'm thinking Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Uh, that one's kind of creepy. That one
Yeah.
always freaks me. Kind of does freak me out.
I, I think of Blade
Blade,
and
definitely,
Underworld. And
hands down. Blade, Underworld,
Van Helsing is a good one.
Van Helsing. That's kind of a fun movie. But yes,
It is a
Van
fun
Helsing.
movie.
Yeah. What was the other one? Interview with the Vampire, or
Interview with uh,
interviewing the vampire. That's a
there was
Mandela effect, by the way.
there was one absolutely ridiculous one. Well, there's a couple ridiculous ones. Um, uh, shit. It was it Dracula 2000, something like that. I think it was Dracula 2000. It had one of the most interesting plot twists. Right? It was like the Dracula, the OG Dracula in the movie was Judas Iscariot.
Dracula 2000, which when I first saw it, I thought it was stupid, but then going back and watching it again, I was like, oh,
Like
that's very
that's
interesting.
like
A little,
oh,
I felt
shit.
bad watching it for my own personal reasons. I felt a little blasphemous, but then I'm like, it's kind of like it's interesting. It does throw a little twist on it, because then you could be
It
like,
does.
oh, like
Like,
what if that
the silver, the whole like
everything
daylight that you're like, oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
right,
Way to make it kind of sort of work. I thought that was one of the most unique plot twists.
right.
We're like, okay, okay. Like I like this. I like this for the plot. But yeah, I haven't seen the new one out. There's a new Dracula thing. Um not the like Descent, not Descent. It's about this cargo ship that has a vampire on board. The vampire
Oh
escapes.
no, it has yeah, it actually has Dracula on it.
Is
Yeah, I
that
know what
what
you're
it is?
talking about. Yeah, I think
What is that
so.
movie?
Oh man, yeah, I don't
It's
remember
not
the name of the
Dracula.
movie,
It has no Dracula in it. It just says
but it is a vampire, and I think it is Dracula, or it's like it's or it does. There's a vampire on it, and it going from I don't know if it's going from like England or from over there across the ocean to the States
mhm.
or something like that, or going to like some ship going to Africa. I don't know. It's going somewhere, but either way, everybody on the ship apparently has to fight for their life because they're gonna get eaten.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Oh, one of the I feel like one of the best uh vampire movies. What is it? 30 Days of Night.
Oh,
That is a very and I thought the whole premise of that movie, that was actually really cool. I was like,
I
oh,
only
that makes sense.
so I've only seen bits and pieces of that, but I like the setting of it. Like it makes sense. A place where the sun doesn't come up for like forever, you
30
know?
days.
Yeah, 30 days. That's awesome. That makes sense. Vampires abound, you
Right.
know?
So they just take over the town. That's it, and they have all this stuff. But that movie I thought was really cool because again, I'm into the comic book world, love comic books. That's actually the guy that wrote it, from what I understand. He like put the script together and everything like that, and he tried to pitch it to movie companies, and they all turned him down. So he like went to whatever
Mhm.
comic company, and he turned it into a comic book, and it was like a 4 issue, 6 issue little mini series or whatever. Then somebody saw it and was like, "This is really awesome," and then they turned it into a movie. So he
It's
got a
back
comic book deal out of it, and then got into a movie. So
movie.
he won
Hey,
anyway. So and
yeah.
I thought, man, that's awesome. That was
I, I,
awesome.
I feel like, there's no tropical vampire. Doesn't exist. There's no like Bermudian vampire story out there on the beach in the sun with the coconuts. There's no, it's all up north, up where the gray areas are, man. Like up where it's
It's
cold and
well,
fucking
besides 30 Days of Night, I feel like it's because it's more popular. Like you're gonna
Mhm.
find a vampire in New York than you are in like Kansas and some
Yeah.
rural town of like 1,000 people.
I'm just saying there's no Zimbabwean Dracula.
Are you trying to say that? Are you trying to
Yeah.
say that there's no black vampires?
Blade, who's
Well,
mixed, who's
that's what I was gonna
mixed,
say. Like, but at the same
but
time, Blade's
he's
not
from,
actual. He's a
and he's
half.
not, yeah, he's not from that area.
No.
You know what I mean? So, like the folklore comes from European, I want to say.
Oh,
The
it does.
the folklore comes from the up north
Hmm.
areas, the northern hemisphere.
Well,
So,
okay. Well, funny you say that too. So, I mean, Bram Stoker's Dracula comes from Vlad the Impaler. Like, is that like a real thing? Well, it's thought that Bram Stoker named Count Dracula after Vlad Dracul, also known as Vlad the Impaler. And Vlad Dracul was born in Transylvania, which is a real place in Romania. Which,
cool.
yeah, man. I mean, that's Transylvania. Just sounds scary, and but it
It
sounds made up. But it's a real place,
Yep.
you know. And he ruled in parts of Romania from 1456 to 1462.
Damn.
Yeah. So
That's not
some
that long.
historians, yeah, not that
That's not that
long, but
long.
uh, yeah, but it's, geez, could you imagine like just that time period, all the
No.
kind of crazy stuff going on,
Fuck
like,
no.
and in Romania, like their winters have to be like brutally cold. I
Yeah.
don't even know if they have summers. I think they just have like winter and spring.
Yeah. Winter and not so winter.
Right, yeah.
But
Some historians describe him as a just yet brutal, cruel ruler who valiantly fought off the Ottoman Empire. He earned his nickname because his favorite way to kill his enemies was to impale them on wooden stakes. According to legend, Vlad Dracul enjoyed dining amidst his dying victims and dipping his bread in their blood. Whether those gory tales are true is unknown. So, from over time, people would say all this stuff, but yeah, I heard that too. That he would kill people, and to scare people, he would impale them on these big old stakes and leave them, like, I guess, in front of his castle. So you're riding up and you just see all these impaled people
bodies
all over. Yeah, but they said that a lot of those, like, they were, some of them were dead and some people were alive, so
still, still alive.
they were still alive, and basically it's like a slow death, it's a slow torture. Like, you would
Yeah.
just slowly, like, they'd
Get
stick the stake,
impaled.
right, and you would just like slide down and die
Oh,
slowly,
dude.
and you'd be
Yep.
out there for days, or maybe even a couple weeks.
Oh my god, dude. But no,
Right.
he was also, I heard a story about him where he eradicated poverty in his village by inviting all the poor people over to eat and then killing each and every one of them. So
I mean, that's one way to get rid of poverty.
that's one way to that's one way to fix fucking poverty. Jesus
Yeah, I
Christ.
mean,
Very Scrooge, very Ebenezer Scrooge of them. But you know, it still counts, I guess. But that's wild, like you have to know. I feel like no one could just come up with the concept of a vampire. Like no one, that's just wild. It's just it to me that's so, if I didn't know a vampire bat existed, there's no way I would be able to fabricate something. Like there's a guy out there, a castle. Why a castle? Well, because
well,
whatever.
that's
And then
where
he
a lot of the folklore comes. Like, when you look up some of the history of, like Vlad
Mhm.
Dracul, you know, what did he do? Maybe he did kill or like impale these people, but then it came to like, oh yeah, did you hear that he actually like kills these people and he drinks their blood? And it's like, well, did he really do that, or did it's just a tale that maybe he started just to scare people and
Yeah,
stuff like that? So they kind of like run with some random story, and over time, I mean, how many years has it been? Thousands of years,
at least, at least, well, not thousand from 14 to
for what, like 600 years or whatever.
yeah, something like that.
But he the
But
story gets
it's
a little bigger and more, and then now with like movies and stuff like that, it kind of like expanded more and more, and now it's this big
it's
thing.
it's intriguing. It's intriguing to think about someone that has this immortality, but has to commit heinous acts to stay alive. It's conflicting, right? It's
Hmm.
like you have this crazy gift of immortality, right? Which could be seen as a curse, which probably is viewed as a curse. But because of that, that means you have to kill people and drink their blood. It's like, well, shit. That's a real downer.
Right. Yeah. I mean
Um,
just think about it. Like yeah, again, you hear these tales of somebody doing something, and you just take it and more or less like elaborate on it. And that's what
yeah.
Bram Stoker's did. You know,
Well,
they said like many people believe these stories sparked Stoker's imagination to create Count Dracula, who was also from Transylvania, sucked his victim's blood, and could be killed by driving a stake through his heart. But according to Dracula experts,
there's
Stoker
Dracula
didn't.
experts.
There's
All right.
experts for everything.
True.
Stoker didn't base Count Dracula's life on Vlad Dracul. Nonetheless, the similarities between the two are intriguing. Yeah,
That is
I mean,
so crazy. I mean,
yeah,
but it is, but it isn't. Right? It is, but it isn't. Like, there's too many. There's too many things. There's too many crossovers. I would say it has to. Um, my my thing is, especially during that time, 14, whatever it is, superstition was on a high, right? Right? Superstition was on a high. People, if they thought you were a vampire, guess what the neighbor is that you don't like? He turned into a vampire. I heard he was a vampire, so we got to kill him. You know,
well,
like,
that's like going off of the whole Salem witch trial
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
You know, and I mean, geez, back then, if you sneezed at the wrong time, or if you sneezed and didn't say bless you, like, oh no, he's gonna die because your heart stops and Satan took your heart or something,
yeah,
just like crazy off the wall
yeah,
stuff that like nowadays we look back like it's just
yeah.
normal
We
stuff that
didn't
we
chill
do.
out. We needed to chill
Yeah.
out for a second. But yeah, or if a woman left the house wearing pants, a fucking vampire. You
Where
know,
is she
like,
going? She's
yeah,
going to work.
what? You
Get
know,
back in the
but
kitchen.
and yeah, pretty much, man. Back then, dude, uh, we've come such a far way from
Now we
that.
just have crazy stuff, other crazy stuff. I'm like,
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
I'm sure
But
in like another 600 years, people are gonna look back and be like, what are they thinking?
holy shit, yeah, they really fucked it up. But yeah, you know. But at least we'll have our podcast out there. You know,
I
in six
mean,
hundred years.
yeah, right. If if it lasts that long, or if like the AI hasn't taken over the world and
Yes. Again, we are
Skynet,
feeling happy. We did not kill ourselves.
right,
So,
right, right. We always have to make sure we say that because
yep.
I love to live
Yeah.
and I
Ooh,
want to see the next day.
yeah. Living life
And
is like top on my priorities. Um, but yeah, man. No, I mean vampires, man. Come on. It's like it's
vampires.
vampires. It's Halloween. You know, it's like what it has to be. I would love to know what is the highest, I would say, selling costume. I feel like vampire Dracula is up there with the easy go to.
It yeah. I mean,
It's like one of the classics.
it's like oh, you want to be a ghost? Put a white sheet over
Yeah,
yourself and you're a
yeah,
ghost.
yeah. Vampire, just dress nice and have teeth. Just
That's
make
it.
little teeth. That's it.
That's it.
There you go.
Yeah. I'll tell you
Um,
what though, vampires are pretty smooth because they always like get the ladies.
yeah. Well, they've lived forever to refine the craft. Like that's what I'm
That's
saying.
one thing that I never got. Like, it'd actually be funny if there was a vampire that was
It's like
terrible at picking up chicks.
like rejected. He's just rejected. He's just like
Oh,
the guy. He's a vampire at the bar at night. He's like, fuck it, fuck everything.
yeah, he's just like sucks. No, actually, I just remembered there was a new vampire movie that came out with Nicolas Cage.
No.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Renfield.
like Renfield.
Renfield. Yeah, and actually, that's a pretty good movie. I liked it.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
actually, it's pretty good. I thought it was pretty entertaining.
I was like,
I
I
liked
saw
it.
the ad. I'm like, is this like Sorcerer's Apprentice 2? Like, I'm like, is
No,
this what we're getting into?
but Renfield was Dracula's like his
Assistant?
apprentice, his assistant. Like he wanted to be he wanted to be a vampire, and he was like, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Use me, do whatever. And he's like, I will make you a vampire, but you have to do my bidding. I'll do it. Not right now. I'll do it later on, or something like that. And
Mhm.
that's who Renfield is. Renfield is
Oh,
Dracula's assistant.
it's like
So the movie is Dracula's assistant, like going through all this stuff, and or a vampire. I don't know. I can't remember if he's Dracula or a vampire, like just a powerful vampire, but it's something like that.
hmm,
So it's
hmm.
it's interesting. It's just a different take on vampires.
So he'd be like Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein's Igor or Igor, right?
Igor, yeah,
Kind
yeah,
of like that. All right. All right.
yeah, or Puff Daddy's Mr. Bentley.
Yeah, there you go.
For those of
Good
you who
reference.
know who that is, yeah.
Yep.
For
That
those
is
of you who know
the
that is,
that is the famous cereal mogul. Puff Daddy Cocoa
right,
Puff cereal. Look it up.
right. It's what the internet
Um,
told me. It's what
yeah.
Instagram said.
Yep. It's made competition is was it General Mills and Captain Crunch and Puff Daddy.
Right. Tony the Tiger.
Tony the Tiger. So yeah, man. No, it's interesting because I always have thought that it was like a cultish lore that developed a weird emo following where people just sat in the basement listening to like dashboard confessionals.
Well,
Like,
I think that is, again. I think over time, I'm pretty sure that's kind of what happened. I mean, you see like emo kids that are all in black and wearing whatever,
well,
and
not so much now, but back in, I guess, when I was in school, yes, 100%. I don't know, were they when you were in high school? Were
they
the
had
emo
some
kids
emo
around?
kids. Yeah, they had some emo kids, but I don't think they were into. I don't think they were like vampire. I think they're more into like cutting themselves and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
You know,
Gotcha.
which
Yeah.
come to find out, like when I talked to some of them, they're actually pretty cool.
Yeah, no, they're
They just
they're
got a bad rap for being emo, and nobody wants. Most people just don't want to be around people that are depressed all the time and talking about like life's so hard,
yeah.
stuff like that. But for the most part, they're pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I didn't know those people. I've seen them once or twice. Um because I usually spend a lot of time in the sun and they don't do that.
They don't do
So
that very well.
they don't do that very well. But no, so hear me out. So all of this stuff is like this lore, this cult following, like we've romanticized vampirism, I would say. Um
Oh no,
it's
we very much romanticize vampirism.
it's not, but back in the day it was terrifying, made you shit yourself, like in the 1490s if someone was like there's a vampire in the village, well guess what, I'm locking my door.
Well, it would be like the goat or the cow died somehow. It looks like there's no blood in it or something like that. There's a vampire roaming the countryside somewhere. Kind of
Yep.
like if it could have been a coyote that like ran through and like ate all the chickens or something. Oh, there's a werewolf roaming the countryside. So
Yep.
it was to the like it was one of those like
So
a little bit of here and there, and people would just kind of take off with it.
so could you classify the chupacabra as a vampire?
No, because he's cryptid.
No, but
He's an actual creature though. Vampire is a person.
bat. Oh, and a person. But like the chupacabra sucks blood too.
But he sucks the blood of the goat.
Of the goat. Not true. Never humans. You're right. You're right. You're right.
I don't think he sucks blood
It's
off
like
humans.
Dracula's pet.
Right? Yeah. Go suck the goats.
It goes,
go suck off the goats, would you?
oh my god. But no, so is there actually like any like real cases? Because I think like now in our time and age, like there's some sick ass people out there that could hyper fantasize about this and do it. Obviously not in the traditional, vampirism 101, actually sucking blood, like using their teeth as straw shit. No, but killing people and drinking blood, is there been a case like
Well,
that?
I think I think there have been cases of people drinking the blood of other people. Um, I know at one time, like in the 80s, you've heard of the satanic panic of that time. If you listen to like heavy
Satanic
metal,
Panic.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah. So, so with
great
that,
pop punk name.
yeah,
Pop punk
well,
band name. Satanic Panic at the
so with
disco.
that, that was what that was like in the 80s, I guess, like the 70s going into the 80s, all through the 80s and like early 90s. It was if you listen to heavy metal music or anything like that, it's for the devil's trying to get you. And churches would were like really into like trying to get parents to stop letting kids listen to heavy metal music, and they thought that um everything happened because of uh
Metal.
well, I guess it is basically what it sounds like, a satanic panic. They blamed everything on Satan, and
Got
were
it.
like, oh, and doing all this stuff. And there was like cases of people um where they said like, oh, these people were like abusing me, and like a lot of people got arrested and got in trouble when they didn't really do anything wrong. It was just this
Oh
whole
wow.
big,
Witch
yeah.
hunt.
It basically was a witch hunt. It basically was a witch hunt.
Wow.
There was I think
Is
it was
that when Ozzy bit off the head of a bat?
it was around that time. Anything if you listen to Ozzy Osbourne, when they
Or
like
was it not a
ACD,
bat? Was it a bird?
it
Either.
was a bat. They said it was a bat or a bird, something like
Either. I
anything,
think it
something
might.
with wings. But
Oh,
there was one where they used to say like ACDC. ACDC was what is it? I forgot what it stood for. Something. Oh, man, it used to stand.
alternating current, direct current,
Well, for like when at that time it was it was
antichrist, demon Christ.
Devil's Children or something like that. Actually,
Got it.
something like that. Kiss was Knights in Satan's Service. There was a heavy metal group that used to be called Wasp. I don't know. I never listened to them, but they would always say like, "Oh, they're corrupting the children." And um, I do remember. It's so funny. At that time, I was at church, and our uh, the youth pastor or whatever at this one particular church had a video and wanted us to watch it, and it was talking about all that stuff. And it was basically that's what it was. It was trying to say that all this music is going to corrupt you, and you're going to start following the devil if you listen to it. It's evil, blah blah blah, saying all this stuff.
Crazy.
Yeah, no, it's weird when you look back at it. Like at the time, you're like, huh, it's like no one really paying attention. But when you look back, you're like, it was. I get why they were saying it, but it's just like it was just a bunch of rambling. It wasn't that. But they used to say, excuse me, there was a story of I think it was a daycare, and
What?
it was a daycare, and somebody started like accusing them of child trafficking. They
Holy
weren't.
shit.
Yeah, and they were like, oh, they're using the children for like occult purposes and stuff, all the stuff, and they were abusing the kids, and there's like they would say, and this is true, they would say like they would like flush the kids down the toilet. And I guess they were saying, oh, there's like a secret trap door in the bathrooms, and they would ship the kids underground, and they would take them and do all stuff. And they some of the kids were saying this, but they come to find out the kids were being coached into saying all these things, and none of it was
Oh
true,
my
and it like
god.
messed up a bunch of people's lives. Yeah. And again,
Holy
it's, relocating of children does happen, and it is a terrible thing. But at this certain case, it did not happen. And
that's crazy.
yeah, so there was if you look it up, the Satanic Panic, it was
That's an
they were just
odd era.
yeah, it was weird.
But
It was
I
again,
feel
it's
yeah,
like a
it's a
witch
witch
hunt.
hunt. But it's like I feel like every generation has had their form of witch hunts.
Yeah,
That's
sorry
just
for like
like
rambling on. I think
yeah,
I
no,
wasn't
it's
even ready
okay.
for that, but
It's okay. Well, no, I mean I'm just saying like trying to get back on the Dracula thing. You know, I know that they found like human
Dracula
remains.
musical.
Yeah, Dracula musical. Oh God. Um. Musical.
I
Oh yeah,
cannot
no. That
die.
now, now it would be terrible with all the diseases we have. We couldn't get too far.
I would
Um,
wonder if Dracula did or a vampire sucked the blood of somebody that was sick. Like,
they
do
get
they get
sick,
sick, or
probably.
or are they able to, like, since they can't really die, do they they're already
They
dead?
just
Do
get
they
the
just
symptoms. They just get
like
the
a like
symptoms. They just don't
like
die.
they like they get it and they're like, and then
Like,
like they're
oh
fine.
shit! Like,
Like, I'm fine.
oh, he was sick.
Yeah.
Well, the remains of humans have been found buried with like their skulls upside down and a stake through their mouth. I think
Rocks.
rocks. Was it rocks?
Rocks. They would have their they were actually buried face down, and when they would turn over the skull or the body, they had rocks in their mouths, and it was the guys like, oh, this is just a rock, it's weird, whatever. They didn't really think much of it. Then they started digging up more of the area, and they come to find out there's like a whole bunch of people that had, or a bunch of skeletons that had face down with rocks in their mouth.
And that's what it was.
Hmm.
Fucking, they were vampires.
Well, they claimed to say they were vampires.
Well, I mean, wouldn't their skeletons bust open into ash? If they opened their grave in the sun?
Oh no.
Hmm. Hmm.
We'll have to go on a
Not
vampire hunt and see.
100%. I wonder if there's a Spanish version of Van Helsing. It's like Don Helsing instead of
Juan,
Van.
huh? Juan
Juan.
Helsing.
Oh, Juan Helsing.
He's standing in front of Home
Oh,
Depot.
it's like fucking dressed more like El Kabong than fucking
Right, yeah.
than a badass. Oh god.
El Kabong, Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
remember that? Remember that
Yeah.
stereotypical bullshit? Love that.
Oh my God.
Oh god, I remember that. It's like, oh my god, every Hispanic has a guitar. Like, don't hit me, sir. Don't hit me with your guitar. El Kabong. Oh my god.
But all right, so vampires. Anyway.
Yep. Yep.
So was Dracula, Vlad the Impaler, a real person?
What? Yeah. Yeah. Of course it was.
Well, yeah. So the Bram Stoker's Gothic novel Dracula launched an entire genre of literature and film about vampires, the sinister figures who use their supernatural powers to hunt humans and drink their blood.
Mm.
To create his immortal and anti-hero. Oh my gosh.
And Thrio. Yes.
Vampire.
Yeah, and Thrio.
No, what was the other one that you said earlier? Oh,
I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't
no,
remember.
from Megamind.
Shit. Atrocity.
And it's supposed to be what?
Metro City. It's all in the whatever that's called. Man, I don't even know how I'm talking right now. I can't even think. It's all
right.
this. It's all this. Fucking anyway.
So he made it to create his immortal anti-hero. Or as we say, Anthrio.
Anthrio. Trademark.
Of Count Dracula. Stoker certainly
God.
drew on popular Central European folk tales about the Nosferatu, or the undead, which that means undead. But he also seems to have been inspired by historical accounts of the 15th century Roman prince Vlad the Impaler. Born in Transylvania as a second son of a nobleman, Vlad II Dracul, he took the name Dracula, meaning son of Dracul, when he was initiated into the secret order of Christian knights known as the Order of the Dragon. In Romanian, Dracul means dragon. That's kind of cool, though.
Yeah,
Like they have kind of cool names.
That's a pretty cool, yeah.
I mean, for being Romanian at that time, you're like, we are known as the Dragon. Order of the Dragon.
I'm pretty sure Romanians are still known as Romanians. Nothing changed.
Back in the Romanian times,
when they were known as Romanians. Like, well, still to this day, you can find some out there.
They might come up to you and be like, excuse me, we're still Romanians?
Like, oh, okay, fair enough. Fair play. Never met one.
Oh, so they're not extinct.
No, they're not all vampires.
They're all sleeping during the daytime. So as one of the rulers, now Vlad became notorious for the brutal tactics he employed against his enemies, including torture, mutilation, and mass murder. Though he didn't shy away from dismemberment, decapitation, or bowling or skinning his victims alive, his preferred method was impalement, or driving a wooden stake through their bodies and leaving them to die of exposure. That's that's pretty terrifying, though.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah. That's up there. That's up there. That's I wouldn't mess with someone that can do that. And don't just kill you, just leave you up on a big wooden stake. You know, I'm good. I'm good. So that was
yes,
that was who Vlad is or was.
that's part of who he was. He could still be alive as a vampire roaming the countryside.
Mm,
But
100%.
during his campaign against Ottoman invaders in 1462, supposedly he had up to 20,000 victims impaled, like on the banks. You know, so people would come by and they would.
20,000
Could you imagine like a whole
stadium?
full of people lying there moaning and dead on stakes. Ugh.
Yeah, I'd be good. I'd be good without that at all. I'd be like, I'm good. No, thank you. That's a lot. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of thought behind that.
Mm. So, captured by Hungarian forces and imprisoned, he was finally able to regain his seat in 1476, only to be killed in battle of the same year.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So again, he ended up dying, and he liked to dine on the victims of his supposedly dine on the victims' blood.
Mm.
Dip his bread in it and eat it.
No,
You know
no.
what?
So
Though? I
that's
feel like he did that. If he did do that, I feel like he did it just for show.
yeah. He did it for the guards because then the guards would go to the village and tell him what they saw. They're like, "Holy shit, he's crazy. Don't
Or one of
cross him."
those where he would get like capture people and bring them to me, and he'd sit there and he'd like have like a body and like chop it up and like dip his bread into it and like eat and be like, yeah, this is so good, and then probably like throw up later
Throw
and be
up somewhere like,
like,
oh,
"Ugh."
so much iron. Oh god.
Well, I've heard of like what is like some of those gangs in Africa where they do that, but they do it just for show to try to scare the other gangs and other people.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
crazy.
it's crazy.
That's crazy, man. Well, I mean, come on, that's Vlad's world, So he basically loosely inspired Dracula. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna go out and say it. We're no um historians here, but yeah,
Mm.
that's
I don't
pretty
have
that's
I don't
pretty
have a
wild.
degree in history.
Vampirism.
Yeah, but there are stories, or there are people that do go around and claim to be vampires, and by doing so, they don't turn into bats. Obviously, they don't turn into bats or wolves or anything like that. They say that um, they can't be on the sunlight for a long time. That's just what they say. They do drink blood. They obviously they get people who are willing victims to go, and they'll cut them or something like that, and they'll sit there and like suck on their blood, and you know
So that's like
they
the uncool part. They got all the parts that are uncool about being a vampire. Just the crippling loneliness and depression,
right, and they're. I mean,
but
I've
not the
seen.
immortality part.
No, they'll eventually die, and I've seen documentaries talk about vampires, and I remember the one where the guy's like walking around New Orleans, and he's like, "I am a vampire." It's just one of those where he has like his shirt
Did he
open.
hiss? Did he hiss at people?
He has
Oh
like,
my god.
yeah, and he's got like his little bracelets on and all this stuff, and he's just walking around. He's like, "I'm a vampire. Oh, look at me. Oh
Oh
yeah, we do suck the blood," and doing all this crazy stuff, and I'm just kind of like.
yeah. Fucking
Can't take you
Dracula.
seriously, man. No, you
Yeah.
can't. You're like I would put you in the category of Twilight
Yeah.
because I don't take you
Now
seriously.
now I read something that it was in the lore, in the myth. of like in the beginning stages around vampirism and lores of vampires. It was due to disease, because people didn't get out much,
Hmm.
and so that, like in villages, when I guess when someone was afflicted with this certain sickness, they couldn't go out into the sun because the sun would essentially give them straight up burns, would give them
Mm.
burns on their skin, like if some sort of reaction happened. It is, hold on one sec, I have it. It's called porphyria. It's a blood disorder that can cause severe blisters on the skin that's exposed to sunlight. So not only is, and I didn't know that even existed.
I didn't either.
Like, so
Interesting.
not only is there this lore that's going around at that time,
Hmm.
there's also a disease that sort of makes you act like a vampire. You can't go into the sun. You can't. So it's like backing up the lore, and so it's
And you know what though? Again, something like that, especially if you had something like that 500 years ago, even 100 years ago, people would probably be like, "Oh my gosh, like what's wrong with you? You're a vampire." That's or this is something that vampires have, and just stuff like that because they don't know, so they automatically would go to the worst thing possible.
yeah, yeah.
Because, like you
That's
said, superstitions would,
superstitions.
yeah, they would destroy,
And
whole
remember,
towns
back in the
for
day,
stupid.
usually the only one that was educated and read was the priest, because he was the only one that could read Latin. And
Hmm.
and so whatever the priest said was taken for science.
Right. It was like golden, no matter what he said.
Yeah.
No matter
And
what, and if
so,
you went against it, then they would be like,
ooh,
"Oh, you
yeah,
believe in the devil's got you," or something like that.
obviously the devil. You're
Yeah,
reincarnate of the devil,
it,
or
it
a
it's a-
witch, or something like
yeah, yeah. Oh man, yeah. So it sucked to be a vampire.
that. Oh, yeah,
Got him.
good one, good one. Oh man, but it,
So
it
that's just a little look into vampirism,
yep,
vampire being uh the life of a vampire,
yes, yes, the
or
true story of vampirism.
yeah. And I mean,
Yeah,
if people like want to know more about it, Google it yourself because I'm not doing it. No.
yeah, yeah. It's out there, guys. It's
No,
out
but if
there.
you guys would like us to take a deeper dive into this topic, certainly will. Because there's a
Yep.
lot of information. Well,
There's tons,
yeah,
especially of these old ones, these
yeah,
old like classics. There's tons of them,
yeah.
tons of information, unfortunate amounts of information, um, on vampires. You know, so maybe in the next Halloween we could do a top 10 rules how to defend yourself, because we don't just want to give you the problem here, guys. It's not that vampires may or may not exist, but now what? Now that your mind is all blown, right, and now you're terrified of vampires, how do you defeat them? Well, you're gonna have to stay tuned till next Halloween.
Yeah, yeah. We have one
Good
whole
luck.
year. I
365,
hope you survive till then.
64 days. Stay alive.
Hopefully,
Hopefully,
hopefully
guys.
you'll join us next year.
That's the goal. Or you'll join us forever as a family.
So yeah, that's our little take on vampires. But again, yeah, for Halloween. This is for Halloween purposes.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yeah, I hope everyone got a lot of candy.
Yep.
Favorite candy
Oh
for
yeah.
Halloween. Favorite candy for Halloween.
Ooh, that's mine. I've always hated candy.
Oh man, come on.
Like I do chips. I like chips. I can't stand the sweet. Like if I want to go sweet, it has to be
Hey
like
Daniel, want to play along with the game? No. All right, cool.
no. Cool. Fair enough.
All right.
So favorite candy for Halloween.
Hey, well,
I
you know what?
hate.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yeah. No. I would say Starbursts. I like Starbursts. I would say
Starburst.
that. Yeah, which is off the
Alright.
wall, not real popular answer. Because who the fuck gives out Starburst?
Do they have chip flavor Starburst?
Yeah, 100%. That's saltwater taffy. Uh,
Oh man,
what about
that's
you?
fun.
What's your favorite candy?
Always Reese's cups, man. Always,
Fair
without a
enough.
doubt. I
Fair
love
enough.
Reese's cups.
Fair enough. I
On,
like that.
actually on a summer day, frozen Reese's cups are really good,
Dude, have you seen like the pound that they sell? The big
dude.
ass Reese's
Yeah,
cup?
yeah.
Ugh.
I busted a nut when I saw. I was like,
I was like, oh
oh.
my God, there's like it's a half a pound of chocolate and peanut butter. Like I got one for Holly and
It's
I had a
amazing.
I had a piece and I'm like, this is too much. Who's eating all this?
I
Oh,
would,
that's diabetes, man. Holy
dude.
crap.
That's exact, dude. I would eat it. I'd eat it. I love
That's
it.
too
I
much, man.
love it. I don't think I'd eat
Uh,
it all at once, but I'd probably
mhm.
come close to it. But
Yep.
I would eat it. Yeah. I want to go to Hershey
Oh,
Park just to go get one of those.
oh, oh, that's where they sell. I saw them up at the gas station up the road. Probably I wouldn't go so far as to go
that's,
to
that's probably
Hershey,
from like
Pennsylvania.
last year's Valentine's or something.
Yeah, probably. Probably. But no, man. So yeah, guys, check your candy bags. Let us know what
For
your
needles, remember that was
for
another
needles.
thing
That was
too.
another big one. Razor
Yeah.
blades in the fruit or something like
Yeah,
that.
that was actually not true. It was, I think somebody did do that. But it wasn't like widespread and everyone was like freaking out about it. And a lot of it wasn't true.
Because that little rumor, that myth spread like wildfire. Spread like check your kids' candy. And then it's just like basically now it's become the parent tax.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I gotta check this
It
piece.
wasn't true. And I mean, granted, it is safe to check your kids' candy, but they're kids, they're resilient.
Yeah,
They'll get over it.
yeah,
They're
they're
fine.
resilient. They're resilient. And just instead of check your kids' candy, just make sure you check on your kids. How
Yeah,
about that?
just be a parent and just check
Yeah,
your kids.
check your kids. But man, no, it was good, man. Thanks for having me on again. We're gonna do this sooner than later. Sooner than later. The Halloween, man. Halloween. I can't wait.
Halloween. Yeah,
I
it's fun
so
stuff.
so my son wanted to dress up as Batman. And for a parent, that's the best costume idea because then you and as me and my wife would go as ghosts and be a meta Halloween costume because Bruce Wayne's parents are dead.
Yeah, you
So
should dress up as,
if he's Batman, that means
you got to be his parents,
parents,
dead parents.
dead
Yeah.
parents, ghosts.
You're
Boom,
Bruce
easy.
Wayne's parent. What's his name? I don't know what his name is.
Bill. Sounds
Bill
like a
Wayne.
Bill Wayne. Bill Wayne and Martha. Definitely Martha.
Martha, yeah.
Definitely Martha.
Don't get me started on
Not John Wayne. Definitely not John Wayne.
that.
Because he would
John
have died.
Wayne.
That was Batman's dad.
John
Uh,
Wayne.
oh God.
All right.
But,
Cool, man. Thanks for hanging out.
hey
We'll
man,
do it again.
always. Yep.
Yep. We got more stuff coming down the pipeline. Don't forget
Hell
to
yeah.
click, share, whatever it is that you all got to do.
Comment.
Comment. Please comment. Yes.
Subscribe. Learn to fly. Throw it all out there.
And while you're at it, learn to fly, please.
Learn to fly.
And let us know how that goes.
All right.
If we don't hear back from you, we know you made it.
Continue flying. Be like MH370. Never land.
Never land, never come down.
Oh, shit.
Okay. Like I said, this is a train wreck, but this is my train wreck. So
Yep.
Whatever, guys.
Yes.
Cool. Thanks. Thanks. Hey, don't forget to save the guinea pigs. Peace
Yep.
out, everybody.
Later.